Hey everyone, this is Tim Dial with Nexa Mortgage, and I just wanted to put this video together. It's going to include a slideshow and a lot of great information for realtors who I would like to join me in a partnership and become realtor partners with if you're not already there. And the primary reason is because we have this incredible program called Nexa 100, and the Nexa 100 program, a lot of loan officers just using it to pay for expenses and things like that, but I want to use it differently. I want to use it to grow and help my realtor partners grow their business and do a lot more business in the future. So I'm going to get into this right now. I've got this slideshow that I have put together, and so I am going to share my screen here shortly. And let's see, it's screen 3. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen here. This is the PowerPoint that I put together for this program. It is Nexa 100. If you're not familiar with Nexa 100, maybe you've never worked with a Nexa loan officer before. Nexa 100's been around for, I think, probably close to a year now. And so it's basically a program that we have with our three primary lenders. And our three primary lenders are United Wholesale Mortgage, EPM, and MLB. I do a ton of business with UWM. I like them the best. They give the best service. So anyways, that's what the program is for those three main lenders. We're able to basically, or what I should say is Nexa is providing us with 100% of our commission on those deals. The extra commission goes into a ledger. And so I'm going to get into this slideshow right now and kind of go through this a little bit with you. And it's going to make more sense as I go through it. So if you look here, Nexa 100 was designed by our founder, Mike Cortaz, and it's normally used to help Mike and to help other loan officers recruit people into Nexa because it's a great recruiting tool. If you have an opportunity to get 100% of your commission on a transaction versus other brokers or lenders out there, then why not? So we already have the best compensation in the industry. We normally make, anywhere from 1.9 to 2.2% on a transaction, and then this basically gives us like an extra 50 basis points or so. So anyway, it was designed to put extra funds from a transaction into the loan officer's ledger. We all have a ledger that we have. That ledger we can use for things like business expenses and things like that. It can also be used for marketing, and you can use that marketing to produce additional business and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that ledger can be used for. We can either pay things directly out of the ledger, or we can pay things on a credit card, and then I send invoices from my credit card into the person who manages the ledger, and then they will refund me whatever that is. They'll take the money out of the ledger, refund it, and put it back, basically do a transfer back into my bank account as a reimbursement. So that's kind of how that works. It does amount to about 50 basis points, or what we call 50 bips on the loan amount. And that's on FHA, conventional, USDA, and VA loans. These are just normal everyday loans that we do most of the time. If it is a specialty product, like a down payment assistance loan or something like that, those things are usually outside of Nexa 100. These three lenders usually don't give Nexa 100 on those types of specialty transactions, and that's partially because normally those specialty transactions have a different comp set up, and many times the comp is lower to begin with, and so they're already thinner to begin with. So that's kind of how that works. If it's a normal FHA, conventional, VA or USDA loan, we should be able to obtain that 100% and that extra 50 basis points. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick video message from Mike Cortaz right now. And it's going to make probably a little bit more sense, but keep in mind, when he's talking, he's basically talking as if this is a recruiting tool for loan officers, but I'm using it for my realtor partners. So taking it a step further. So anyway, this is Mike.
Hi, my name is Mike Cordes. I'm the CEO and founder of Nexa Mortgage. I'm here to talk to you today about Nexa 100. Nexa 100 is a revolutionary compensation plan that has never been done in the mortgage industry. We are going to give every loan officer, branch manager, team leader, regional manager, whoever, 100% of the revenues on a transaction. We firmly believe that you can grow the company better than we can if you have access to all of the revenues. The reason that we can do this is because of the way Nexa is set up. We don't have upper level management. We don't have middle level management. We only have you to me. That's the chain of command here. I don't have to pay a bunch of people. I don't have legacy costs. I don't have all those expenses. Sure, our loan officers receive a little bit of share of the revenue for bringing you in. You don't have to worry about them. I'll take care of them. Our revenue share plan actually allows me to profit off of it still. Another reason I'm able to do this is because I have private jets. Now I get it. A lot of people will say things like, oh, I'm not going to go there because they are buying private jets. Those very same jets make us a tremendous amount of money as well. And because they make us money, and the fact that we don't have to pay the same taxes as the other lenders, I'm able to give you 100% of all of the transactions so that you can grow the business. Another reason that we can do this is because we have affiliate partners. There are a lot more ways to make money off of loans than the loan itself. When you have the volume that we have, when you have the eyeballs that we have, when you can control the platforms that we control. Nexa has so many programs in place. We set out 6 years ago to be the absolute best organization in the country for any loan officer in the United States, and we did just that. We're able to make money in other ways that other brokers simply cannot do. We are your answer into the future.
Okay, so that was Mike, and him going over the Nexa 100 program and how valuable it has been so far for our recruiting efforts. But it's also, in my opinion, can be used to be much more valuable for us working with our realtor partners. Because to me, the face of everything is the realtors when we're working with buyers. Even if I come across a buyer first, I'm going to get that person set up with the realtor, and then the realtor is still sort of the face of our partnership to some degree, because they're working with them, they're going and showing them houses every day, things like that. And the easier we can make it for that customer, the more benefit we can provide to that customer, then the more they're going to be out there talking about how wonderful we were to work with and be sending us more business in the future. So that's the way I see it. And my goal is to build partnerships with realtors that stand the test of time and allow us both to grow together and do a lot more business in the future. So that's the way I see it. So most Nexa loan officers versus what I'm doing, just to give you an example, most loan officers use their ledger to pay funds for their office expenses. We all have expenses and things that we pay for. We have software we use and things like that. Like I have different CRMs and things like that I use that cost money that I pay for out of my pocket. And so most loan officers, when they get this Nexa 100 money, they're basically just using it to pay those expenses, and it's great because they don't have to cover those expenses out of their own pocket anymore. They just get reimbursed from the ledger to pay for those things. But I'm doing it a little bit differently because I'm using the funds to help my realtor partners grow their business. So the way I've got it set up is if a realtor sends me a buyer to get pre-approved, we end up getting that person pre-approved. The realtor shows them homes. They close that transaction, and it's a Nexa 100 transaction. Then I'm going to use that 50 basis points that goes into my ledger simply for marketing to help that realtor market and create additional business for both of us. That can be done a couple of different ways. If the realtor has certain marketing that they're wanting to do, then we can do that as a joint effort together. Anything that's a joint effort that's the realtor's marketing piece, I can normally only cover about 50% because legally that's all we're allowed to cover. However, if it's marketing that I'm doing myself and I'm including the realtor on it, then I can cover 100% of that out of the ledger. And so that's a little bit about how that works. I do have several Facebook pages set up, and I also have a Google AdWords account, and I have a landing page for producing leads that I can promote in lots of different ways using those Google AdWords in different markets. And so whenever I do that, if I create buyers, and those buyers are in your area, then those buyers will go to you if you're the realtor partner for that area. That's from the Google AdWords. Sometimes what happens with Google AdWords, just to give you an example, sometimes I will market it to a particular area, and it could be that somebody who fills out the form is actually in a different area, sometimes even in a different state. I mean, I've had that happen many times where I've had somebody for, just as an example, somebody for my Middle Tennessee market, and that's where the ad was for. And when we received the lead, or received several leads from that, but every once in a while I'll receive a lead and it'll be for like Georgia or Kentucky or something like that, somebody just across the border or something. So you just never know. I mean, people who are looking at those things, sometimes they come across them because they used to live in the area, and so they still get stuff for that area or whatever. You just never know. But they're still valuable because they're basically just free leads. And here's the other thing, I might place a ad for somebody that's in a different market. Let's say it's for East Tennessee, for a loan or for a realtor I'm doing business with in East Tennessee. And if I end up getting a lead that comes from that ad, and the lead is for Middle Tennessee, then I'm still gonna give that to my Middle Tennessee agent once I get them pre-approved, right? So the more we can do of this marketing from those 50 basis points that we're receiving, the more we're going to be able to generate for all the realtor partners. And because I'm just using the 50 basis points strictly for marketing, that's just going to create a lot more business for everybody. So anyway, that's how that works. Just to give you an example, a lot of people don't understand 50 basis points and how that works and stuff. So as an example, let's say a buyer is going to buy a $500,000 home, puts $100,000 down. That means the loan amount's $400,000. 50 basis points is the same as 0.5% of the loan amount. So that's $2,000 that would go into my ledger. And then I will use that $2,000 to help that realtor grow by placing Google or Facebook ads, or potentially, depending on what they want to do, if they had some advertising or some marketing that they want to do, let's say they're farming an area or something like that, then I will cover 50% of whatever that is using ledger funds, and up to that, that $2,000 from that transaction. So that's kind of how that works. I always like to go over it in pretty good detail. Now, the other part of it is, if it is something where you're just like, gosh, I'm too busy to do my own marketing anyway, so you just go ahead and market and send me business whenever we get something from it. That's fine too. I can do marketing through Facebook, Google Ads, stuff like that. Whenever we get leads over, if I get somebody pre-approved, then I'll go ahead and send them to you from that pre-approval, no problem. So that's kind of how that works. Now, there are other tools that my partners will be able to utilize. One of them is called List Reports. So every realtor partner that I work with will receive a List Reports account for free. If you're not already set up with one, if you are already set up with one, then I would have you switch it to me so that we're partnering together, because it's going to be important for some of the pieces and things that we're doing down the road. And I'll give you an example in a minute. Every listing that you get as a realtor is going to receive a marketing kit that's going to include flyers, a property website, and will be put on the local Facebook real estate report page for that area. And it's going to be marketed using some of those funds, right? So we can place ads, like for instance, just to give you an example, for Rutherford County, Tennessee, I have something called Rutherford County Real Estate Report. And so whenever I'm going to market one of these listings, I will put it on the Rutherford County Real Estate Reports Facebook page, and then I will pay funds to market it on that page as well, so that we get extra people coming to that page to view it. And then if somebody becomes a lead from that page is a little bit different, because it's going to give them all of the information, because it goes to a property website and that is created through List Reports. It's going to give them all the information, and within that property website, there's a place where they can click on if they want to see the property. They can fill out a form, and that will go directly to the listing agent, and the listing agent can then contact that person to start a showing, right? By the same token, if they're interested in loan information, there's a form they can fill out for me as well, and it would go to me. So that's how that works. Now, there will be additional ads that we can place through other Facebook pages that will basically just be like information about the property, but it doesn't necessarily give the price. It just gives a few general details of the property. Oh, you won't believe this kitchen, etc. Those types of ads, just to get people excited about it. And then they have to fill out 4 pieces of information. That if they fill out those 4 pieces of information, then we will send them to that link where they can get the rest of the information, right? And so that is, gosh, what am I going to say about that? That is a really good way to get people who are on the front end of thinking about buying a house. A lot of these people aren't really serious yet, but they're starting to consider it. It's in the back of their head, and they're like, gosh, I'd really like to get out of this apartment someday, right? And so they fill out that 4 pieces of information. It's their first name, their last name, their phone number, their email address, and then they receive the information about the property. And then when we contact them, a lot of times they're like, well, I'm not really ready to do anything right now. It's just something I'm thinking about because I'd like to stop renting. I've still got 6 months left on my lease, or whatever the situation might be. But that at least gets the ball rolling for us. And we're like, okay, that's no problem. We're a no pressure company, and we will just keep in touch with you over time. If you do have any questions, please come to us and ask, because we're here to help. We're not here to pressure you. We're just here to help. And then after we go through all of that with them, then we just stay in touch. We put them in our CRM and we stay in touch with them. And then once they are ready to go, we start that process at that point. And so it's just a way to build over time. You keep more and more of these people coming and going into your system. And then some of them may never buy. And some of them have bad credit, things like that. They may never buy. But others will end up buying, and some of them don't think they can buy, but they can. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of people out there that think you need 3 to 5% for a down payment to buy a house. And then they also think there's closing costs and all this kind of stuff. They don't realize that I've gotten people into homes with virtually no money out of pocket. It has happened. I got somebody this few months ago who used down payment assistance. The seller paid some of his closing costs, and he had paid $600 for an appraisal. He had paid $1,000 in earnest money, and he got all $1,600 back at the closing. So those do happen. A lot of people have no idea that that's even possible. So once we start a conversation and we find out what their holdup is and why they haven't purchased a house, we can dig into some of that and say, hey, it is possible to buy a house with very little money. I usually recommend somebody has at least $1,000 or $2,000 in the bank, so that way they've got enough for earnest money and appraisal. But it is possible that with a good enough deal, you could get that money back at the closing. That's the reality. It's possible to do that. So anyway, we go through all of that with them. And sometimes we can take somebody who didn't think that they were ready to buy, but they're just like, sometimes they may only have a couple months left on their lease. It's like, well, if you only have 2 months left on your lease, then we need to get the process started now, because it could take like a month for you to find a house and then another month to close on it. So that puts you at about 2 months. And so a lot of people are like, oh, okay, well, let's get the ball rolling then. So anyway, that's a little bit about how that process works. Getting into this more, let's see what I haven't covered here. So yeah, the real estate report page, I think I covered that. 4 pieces of information, I covered that. And then list reports, this is another thing. List reports is another wonderful tool that can be used on listing appointments to show how the Realtors team goes the extra mile to help the seller get their home sold quickly and for more money. And that also goes along with this last bullet point. There's another loan officer that actually the guy who's 2 levels above me in recruiting, he recruited the guy who recruited me, basically, is using this a lot and having a lot of success with it. So I'm like, I've got a builder that's doing it right now, but I want to do this with my realtor partners as well. And that is this added bonus for listings, which is a sign that you can put in the yard of the seller, offering buyers of that home a 1% lender's credit. So just think about that $4,000 or that $400,000 loan amount. A 1% lender credit would be $4,000. that they would receive toward their closing costs on that transaction. Now, we always want to get the seller's approval to do this. And it's actually should be a part of the listing presentation because this is an added bonus for the seller, right? A lot of times these people are asking for the seller to cover $8,000 or $10,000 worth of costs. But if the lender's covering $4,000, that's less they have to cover. That also gives them a negotiating position. If somebody comes through with their own lender and they want you to pay $8,000 in closing costs for the buyer, you can say, hey, we have a lender offering a 1% lender credit. They'll probably give you a better rate anyway. And that way you get $4,000 from the lender and my seller will cover the other $4,000, right? If you don't want to use my lender, then that's an extra $4,000 you're going to have to bring out of pocket. So it gives you an extra negotiating position, and it gives us more control over the transaction, because when somebody comes through with their own lender, do you really know that person's pre-approved? Probably not. There are still lenders out there giving pre-approval letters, and they haven't even had any documentation yet. I don't do that. So, like when I get a buyer and they fill out a loan application, the loan application automatically asks them, and this is on I think like the next slide or something, but the loan application automatically asks them for documentation immediately when they complete it, and they can upload it directly into the system. And if they don't get that documentation in, then I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, I need your documentation. And really, the main thing that I need to do a pre-approval is income and assets. If I've got income and assets and I pull their credit, then I know if that person can do a loan or not. So that's really it. Now, there can be other little things that can pop up, like whether somebody has like child support they're paying or something like that, that can affect the loan. That might not be on some of that information they get me initially. But they do fill out the application, and on the application there is a box that they have to check that says, that you pay child support. And if that box is checked, then I'm going to ask for that additional documentation that the system didn't ask for, because we need to include that in their debt ratio, right? So anyway, that's just a little bit of how that works. I'm going to go ahead. The 1% lender credit, I think, can be huge. We put a sign in the yard that says it. It's going to get buyers more excited. They're like, wow, that's $4,000 that I don't have to pay. And for the seller, that's $4,000 they don't have to pay for the buyer. So it's a great thing for sure. So that gets me into the co-branded application. Every partner will receive their own co-branded application, which will include a QR code. The sign with the 1% lender credit will have that QR code on it as well. If someone completes a loan application, loan officer and the realtor both receive notifications of the completed application. The MLO Flow application, which is the CRM I use, and that's the loan application that I use, it's going to automatically request the initial documents. The borrower uploads them directly into the system, and then I can do a pre-approval usually within a couple hours. I get their credit pulled. I go through the documentation, make sure everything looks good, make sure the debt ratio looks like it's in line. I run a automated underwriting approval. When that thing comes up approve eligible, we know we got a deal. And so anyway, the borrower and the realtor will both receive pre-approval letters by email, usually within about 2 hours of uploading the documents. Now, there could be a situation in which maybe I already have appointments scheduled or something during that time, and it takes me longer to get to it, but I will always get that pre-approval out by the next day for sure. Just depends on what time of the day it happens and what else I have going on. So the other thing that I started doing with some of my loan office or some of my realtor partners is these brochure booklets. They're really, really professional looking, and the realtors really love them. But these brochure booklets are basically, I think they're like 6 pages front and back. They're on really heavy cardstock and look very professional. And they have a lot of information about the loan process, do's and don'ts. And then also information about us and what products we have available. Some of that kind of stuff is on there. And then also goes into a little bit of the systems that we use as far as why our system is so much better with our partners and why it's going to be a better a better experience for them. And then there's also like the final page front and back is an area where they can take notes. And that's kind of designed for them to take notes on the homes that they look at, so that they don't forget about them and stuff like that. So they could also take other notes if they wanted to take notes on, if they find out more about the loan process and wanted to take notes on it, they can take whatever kind of notes they want. But I like the notes on there simply because it gives them another reason to hold on to that brochure and not get rid of it, if that makes sense. So, but it's very professional, looks great. And the other thing that we can do too, if there are certain things that a realtor wants to have on there that I don't initially have on there, we can change it. We can change one of the pages to have more specific stuff about the realtor and what they do. And that's not a big deal. They're very customizable. I put them together myself. I print them myself with a color printer that I have. I have my own professional binding system, and I use a comb binder to bind them so that they are just like a book. And so, all that I do myself, it's actually way cheaper for me to do it myself than if I had somebody go out there at a printing shop and do it. It would cost way more money to do that than for me using my own ink and my own paper that I buy, my own cardstock paper and my own comb binding system. So that's something that I do that so far people just absolutely love the looks of it and what it how it looks and how professional it is. So that's a little bit about that. Here's my contact information. My name is Tim Dial. There's my office phone, my mobile phone, and my email address listed here. But yeah, this is something that I'm wanting to get this to take off to the next level and to help realtors grow their business. If you are interested in getting this partnership going, it's something that I do for the most part, like these list reports, things that I do and stuff like that. I do that behind the scenes, and then I provide the marketing kit to the realtor, and it's like work they don't even have to do, but they benefit from greatly. That's the same with the marketing and stuff like that. So yeah, just hit me up if there's somebody that you think would be a good fit to get approved. Keep in mind that Nexa Mortgage is the largest wholesale broker in the country. As a result, we have more programs and products than any other company out there. We have over 200 lenders that we can do loans through. I really use about 5 or 6 of them, and that's about it, because I haven't had to use more than that, and because I have certain ones that I really like. And so anybody that I send through United Wholesale Mortgage because it's a better customer experience. At the end of the transaction, I always send somebody a cutting board when I do a United Wholesale Mortgage transaction, and they pay for the cutting board. So that's how good they are as a company. So that's a little bit about how that works. And other than that, like I said, just let me know. I'll get you set up with a QR code and the co-branded app and all that kind of stuff. I do all that on my own. If you want to get it back on a Zoom or something, just the two of us, then we can go through anything you want to go through with these tools and the processes and make sure that we're on the same page. But we also have some of the best, for the ones that are outside Nexa 100, we do have some of the best down payment assistance programs in the country. And through United Wholesale Mortgage, we can even use some of the local stuff like the Home Fund in Tennessee and stuff like that. We can use those local government programs through United Wholesale Mortgage for down payment assistance as well. So it just gives us another avenue in addition to all the different lender specific down payment assistance programs. It's my understanding that United Wholesale Mortgage is getting ready to come up with a new down payment assistance program that's their own program that will be available for both FHA and conventional transactions. So we're going to have more and more products available. Hit me up, let me know a good day and time to talk, and we can get on a Zoom or something and go over everything and make sure we're on the same page. And I certainly look forward to working with you in the future. And hopefully you're going to have a great year, and hopefully I can be a part of it and help you grow your business. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great rest of your week.